what's up, my His Press family, and welcome to His Press History Destination. And we are here in Denison, Texas at the Oakwood Cemetery. And the reason why I'm here at Oakwood Cemetery, there's three things that's very interesting. I came up here about a few weeks ago and just looked around with my sister, and we pointed out some 4 interesting things that stand out to us. So one of them here is we're going to show you about something that's very interesting, and I'll show you here in just a few. So right over there, those 2 monuments, tombstones, what you want to call them, that's the one we'll be looking at. This one's very interesting when we was look at them. Of course, everything here is pretty interesting, but these 2 really stand out when we came up here and read the headstone on this, the inscription on these headstones. But let's go check it out. So these 2 headstones right here before you, and as we was reading these inscriptions and these headstones, one of them right here says, well, of course it's been overgrown last time I was here. There's shrubs here, but we'll try to read much as we can. Maybe I can try to pull some of this out. I don't know, but anyways, it says here, sacred to the memory of P.H. Slutsky, born at Wilna, Russia. Now that's what got me right there, Russia, 1837. And he died at Denver, Colorado, October 8th, 1886. Now it goes to I think it's a Russian word, Erevium Cooper 5647. I don't know what that 5647 means. I think it's maybe he was numbered when he was in Colorado. And as we researched a little bit on him, he was working in the mining in Colorado, so that's probably why the number is 5647. So it says here, let me move some of this shrub here. A true and kind husband and father is at rest. The memory of the righteous is a blessed, the cherished love on earth. I don't know what else that's making. Yes, I know I need to get a flashlight. Those parted here thereafter meet again. May his soul rest in peace. And then it has the inscription of a Russian handwriting here, so that is pretty awesome. And of course, if you look right here, same thing of this gentleman. His name was Mayor Godsell, sacred to the memory of Mayor Godsell, a native of Russia. Died November 8, 1881, age 55 years. So that what got me, and of course my sister that was along with me. So we kind of looked at it, a little bit of it, and these gentlemen worked in a mining area in Colorado. So I believe they both passed. Of course, he died about 4 or 5 years before this gentleman here, and he died in 1886. So these 2 fellas could have went back home and be buried in their homeland of Russia, but these 2 Russians are here on our soil in America. So maybe to believe too, they probably was married to an American women that was here, and they are buried right here in Denison, Texas, just about 20 minutes south of the Red River, and at the time was the Indian Territory. So I thought that's pretty cool. If you look right here too, I forgot to show this to y'all. Look at this, the inscription. I don't don't know what that says, or like a number or something, but I believe these are Russian language inscription. Anyone that knows about Russian, studied Russian, or anything about Russian language, if you can decipher what this means, that would be pretty cool. And I know I barely could read this one. Of course, yes, I do need a flashlight. Like I see my buddy on his YouTube, he uses flashlight and pops it on the side, and you can read the inscription because it's just shadow kind of pops on the other side, and you can really read pretty well. So if anybody that goes out do cemeteries, read inscriptions and stuff, yes, have a handy flashlight, a good handy flashlight, maybe an LED. But yeah, I don't know what it says on here, but this one right really gets me is the inscription of that, both of them. And this is what really got us here in Oakwood Cemetery. So you never know what you come up with when you come to a cemetery anywhere, to a small cemetery out in the middle of nowhere, even a city cemetery. You never know what you can come across. Something like this, you know, about these two individuals from Russia that's buried here on American soil. I know I've seen a lot of Italians, I've seen a lot of Germans that's buried here in American soil. And but Russia, you know, thinking of it about Russians and the USA back then, you know, you would think there were two, you know, countries, you know, possibly like was against each other. But that was pretty interesting, having a Russian right here in on American soil in Texas, in Grayson County. So you never know what you can come across, you know. So here's another one I want to show y'all that was pretty sad too to me. And my sister again, she found this, and of course she loves his history and things like this, so she pointed it out to me. So let's go take a look. So as we was coming up on a tree, my sister pointed this out and she was reading it, so I want to read it to y'all. And this is pretty sad. It says, get closer here, because we couldn't find where you were buried. His name was James Ari Robert Longmire, born June 20th 1948, died June 20th 1948. Golly, just a newborn child. That's sad. Your brother George and sisters Darlene, Brenda, Vicky, and Peggy. Excuse for the train. Yeah, there's a train just across from here. So if you didn't hear me again, it says your brother George and sisters Darlene, Brenda, Vicky, and Peggy. See you in heaven. Yeah, it kind of looks a little fuzzy. There we go. Now y'all can see it. So it's sad that these siblings of James Longmire, I guess when they were kids and as they got older, they can't remember where he was buried at. I don't know if the mother or the grandparents, whoever was the family, you know, maybe passed on, and of course just buried here around here. So they're thinking maybe near this tree or near this area, but can't remember. Probably in an unmarked grave. Also, it could be in a grave or a stake or something they planted or put it there, but there are times and weather and all that probably would have been destroyed. So yeah, it is pretty sad. You don't know where your brother is buried at in this area. They remember the cemetery possibly, but don't know whereabouts they buried him. They may say it's probably in this section, this area, but we can't remember where he's at. And who knows, I might be standing on his burial site. If it is, excuse me, and my respects to you, James And I'll hope, there'll be some closure, where you're buried at. So yeah, it is pretty sad, to don't know where your brother, your sibling that is buried around here in this area, like you see right here, but behind me. And he could be anywhere, but I pray that somebody give them, the family, the sibling, closure to their brother. So rest in peace, James. So here's the third one that really caught me and my sister's attention as we were just walking around. And of course, right in the middle of this right here, you see the headstone. And we didn't know, of course, Denison, Texas was founded in 1872, about the same time as my hometown, Durant, was established in 1872. Of the railroad that you hear, that train, you just heard earlier, that's the same railroad that was going through here in Denison, Texas, that went through Durant Indian Territory at the time. So as we was walking around, and my sister, so happens again, came upon this headstone, and then she told me to come over here and take a look at it. So we both read it and didn't know. Lo and behold, this guy, his name is Dr. L.S. Owens. He was born September 6, 1820 in Roane County, Tennessee. Died August 20, 1875 in Denison, Texas. He fought in the Texas War for Independence in 1836. So if y'all ever heard about the Alamo, this fella right here, he was only 16 years old. Wow. Well, of course, back then, young, you're a teenager, you're going to fight for your independence. So he fought for it. I bet he's seen Sam Houston, and Davy Crockett, and a few others that fought, Sam Bowie. And if you heard about the Bowie knife and everything, that's famous for his name. And a few others that fought. And so, of course, he became a Texas state legislator in 1855. Then he became the first governor, provisional territory of Arizona in 1860. So any Arizonians, in 1860, he was the first governor and provisional in the Arizona territory. Then you come down here, he was a founder of the Arizona Rangers. And then he came back to Texas, became the first mayor of Denison, Texas, right after Denison, Texas became a city in 1873. And I thought this was pretty interesting. So this gentleman came all the way from Roane County, Tennessee, and brought his family over here and to fight in the Texas War in 1836. It's possibly his family that came up here. And at the age of 16, he fought in the war. Then at the age of 35 or so, he became a Texas state legislator. Went off to Arizona, came back, and founded that Denison's becoming a town, and he became a mayor, the first mayor, 1873. He was 43 years old. I believe he passed too. Don't say what. Oh, 1875, duh. So he only lived possibly 2 years while he was a mayor. So anyway, about this gentleman right here, my sister was, again, she always liked to come up, what do you think he died? He just being a mayor for 2 years. And I don't know, I said, he was only like, in his 50s. But he may have some complications during that time. Or he may have some natural causes. Or during that time and around the early 1870s, there's a lot of fights and stuff. And he may have got shot. Someone probably was wanting to run for mayor of Denison, Texas, and have someone shot him and killed him, and so they could run mayor. Who knows? but just only 2 years. He's only became 2 years when Denison just now became an established town here in Texas. And then 2 years after that, he passes away. That's something to think about. Maybe we can research more on this gentleman. But there's another person, the last one over here. I know this place is really interesting. I'm always trying to find the oldest grave here. I know it says 1872, but sometimes it can be earlier than that. So, but this one has really astounded me. For me, I even told this one, I showed my sister about, and she read on it and she couldn't believe it. So let's go take a look. To all my His Press viewers, I got a quick question. Can you tell me how many souls are buried in this cemetery? Just a quick figure. Well, if you don't know, all of them's buried. So here's this particular gravesite right here I was going to tell y'all. And I'm saving this the best for the last, which others was pretty good too. But this one really caught my attention when I read about the history of this gentleman here. So this gentleman here, his name is L.A. Washington. Dr. L.A. Washington. When I found out about him, and this was really cool, and he pretty much chose Texas. So he was born in December 5th, 1814, and died August 10th, 1882, I believe. And here's his wife, Martha Washington. No, not George Washington's wife, but this is his wife. Wife of L.A. Washington, born March 16, 1820, and died July 29, I would say 1880 something. It's hard to tell. It looked like it broke off and they tried to fix it up and kind of got the year. But yeah. So here's the history of this Mr. Dr. L.A. Washington. Here is the historical placard of these two, especially for L.A. Washington. So he's the grandnephew of the president, the first president of the United States, George Washington. Isn't that cool? And his grandnephew is buried here, the bloodline of George Washington. And he's been the guardian of LA's father, and was a doctor. And he came to Texas in 1849 with inaugural suit personnel letters of George Washington. And his wife came from noted West Virginia family too. So they're all Virginians, West Virginian and a Virginian. If they watch the old cowboy show or Virginian, hey, that'll work. I'm kidding. But this is really neat. This is really neat. A bloodline of the first president of the United States, his grandnephew, L.A. Washington. But if you think about it, L.A. Washington, he was born just before, well, right after, you say, just right after his great uncle passed away, George Washington. And I believe George Washington passed in 1799. So he didn't really get to see his grandnephew. So I thought this was pretty cool when I read it more about Mr. Dr. L.A. Washington. That, of course, he married his wife, which is Martha Washington, but not the Martha that, that made the flag and stuff. But this is awesome. This is history. And all of it here, that anybody that lived around this area, especially in all the cemeteries that you go to, it's historical. And I know a lot of I watched some of the YouTubes of all the graves and cemeteries that they all go look at within this country and other countries, but it's all historical. And if each of this individual lived today and tell us their history of yesterday, that would have been phenomenal. and it'll be easier to know, to hear the oracle of their history and how they lived and what it is today, of their technology of yesterday and our technology of today. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video of this historic Oakwood Cemetery here in Denison, Texas. And of course, there's pretty good history here. And of course, hopefully the family will still get some closure of that young little baby of James. So, but anyway, so they're supposed to get some storms here, some severe storms I've heard, and I'm gonna try to head out before it gets worse. And the way it looked, I thought it was gonna get some rain, but thank goodness it didn't. So I'm gonna head on out. So remember, like, share, and subscribe my channel. And of course, like we always say, we shall see you on the next.